When you look closely at Rabbit and Steel, it doesn't appear to be much, especially on lower level difficulties. But in reality, it's actually one of the most difficult MMO raid style games as you start ramping up that difficulty because there are so many rules and features to remember, including how to successfully deal a lot of damage with your player characters and having to watch out for other players who might be on their way to deal a killing blow to you with an effect that they really should have kept away, and also vice versa. This is an excellent action roguelike to play solo or with a few friends, or with all of the random players who play this game each and every day, because this has a lot of replayability due to the complexity of builds, characters, bosses, difficulties, and more, considering only 1.8% of the player base has actually beaten the full game. This is a co-op action roguelike after all, which means everything and anything can happen, making each and every run unique and different. Are you familiar with games like One Step from Eden or perhaps Crosscode? If you are, you might be surprised to learn that this is the same composer with the same fantastically designed soundtracks that plays back to back throughout the entire game, bolstered by the beautiful vocals that will have you humming along joyously. As you can see, there isn't much of a problem playing the game at a much lower difficulty. It's actually fairly relaxed and enjoyable, especially when it comes to discovering what each character can do and how to play them effectively without holding your team back. Regarding that, you may or may not encounter a few angry players if you do anything wrong. This leads me to believe that the community may not be very welcoming of new players playing anything other than cute mode. I didn't really come across many people like this, but practicing each class was very confusing no matter the difficulty, and you'd need to look up some guides to gain a better knowledge of what you should be searching for and also doing. I recommend increasing the difficulty once you feel more comfortable, otherwise you will be learning the game while simultaneously juggling a lot of the mechanics and elements that will only end up killing everybody else, making them more or less likely to abandon a run entirely. But some people may stick around and carry you through the entire experience or even help you understand a little bit better, which still doesn't really help you understand what you're doing right or wrong, leading me to believe that it would be better for you to focus on solo gameplay until you're ready to co-op. The gameplay itself is rather easy, but can become rather complex depending on if you're willing to, once again, learn all of these mechanics. You can also choose from a variety of different classes, each with their own basic secondary, special, and defensive skills. Some are extremely mobile with short cooldowns, while others are very slow, but have more powerful ones, once again, so long as you choose the right builds. There are different rotations for each character, making each class play distinctively from the others, which can take some getting used to, like the Dancer alternating her primary and secondary skills, or the Heavy Blade being more consistent and head-on. And there are so many different builds. You could go a full DPS build, maybe a full Bard support build, a hybrid build, a debuff build, or any combination of many of them. This implies that even if you never become a great player, you can still benefit your friends and your team by focusing on support builds and playing mechanics rather than dealing massive amounts of damage. Consider this to be more of a boss rush. You'll be fighting a variety of different bosses until you reach the strongest one after amassing a number of items and weapon upgrades at the shops that will influence how you will play each run, as well as fighting or debating with your teammates for these buffs if you feel like you're better off with them over them, and if it does come down to it, it'll all be decided by a dice roll. This is perhaps the most difficult hurdle. Several of the characters require specialized items and upgrades from the shop to play to their strengths, while also compensating for their flaws. That's basically the sort of thing that could make or break your team's builds. You want to really understand what your character can do before picking up items and upgrades because, once again, people can get very angry at you for making a very simple mistake you just don't understand. This is why I highly recommend playing with friends, since you're more likely to have more fun that way, rather than dealing with a little bit of toxicity. Because once again, you will not only have to juggle itemization, but you will also have to comprehend your rotations, which will vary from game to game as you go through the random shop upgrades, each of which applies a distinctive effect or power that are complemented by specific builds. At least, that's how I saw it. So if you like cute little bunny girls and both casual and bullet hell styled encounters in a co-op setting depending on your preferences, Rabbit and Steel will definitely be a game that can pique your interest. Be it the simple designs, the criminally catchy soundtracks, or just the replayability, there is sure to be something here that will keep you playing long term. While you probably won't actually be able to beat the full game due to how difficulty ramps up, there's no shame in enjoying what the game community has to offer for you and your friends at a lower difficulty.